Good day, everyone. This is me, Vienna V. Moreno, from BS Criminology 3, Section F. Together with my group mates, Mr. Kinhard Cabagnan and Noel Nuevo, we're going to discuss to you the Lesson 4, the history and the development of polygraph.
Angelo Mosso, 1895. Angelo Mosso utilized a scientific cradle and focused on the importance of fear as a strong influence to deception. Now, what is a scientific cradle? So, mostly aton talaga, dili kita maharong kung ano ang meaningan scientific cradle. So, gin-search ko yun para mabaruan naton. Nasiring didi. Scientific cradle. The Newton's cradle is a device that demonstrates the conservation of momentum and the conservation of energy with swinging spears. When one spear at the end is lifted and released, it strikes the stationary spears, transmitting a force through the stationary spears that pushes the last spear upward. So yun. Asya po atuan scientific cradle ni Angelo Mosso. Number 2, William M. Marston. William M. Marston is he made use of a sigmo-manometer and focused on the importance of the systolic blood pressure. He also devised the discontinuous technique in questioning. So, yun. Gumamitan sphygmomanometer. So, ano ba ang sphygmomanometer? Sir, hindi based sa Google. Sphygmomanometer is an instrument for measuring blood pressure, typically consisting of an inflatable rubber cuff which is applied to the arm and connected to a column of mercury next to a graduated scale, enabling the determination of systolic and diastolic blood pressure by increasing and gradually releasing the pressure in the cuff. So, ini pamilyar niya ito na mga hospitals pag napa-check up kita, like naton blood pressure and magangin pupugahan mga nurse na nakikita naton blood pressure. So next, ano naman ang systolic blood pressure? Nasir didi. The results are given in two numbers. The first number, called systolic blood pressure, is the pressure caused by your heart contracting and pushing out blood. The second number, called diastolic blood pressure, is the pressure when your heart relaxes and fills with blood. Number 3, John A. Larson, 1921. Serendidi. John A. Larson devised the called red light detector, a scientific instrument capable of simultaneously recording changes in blood pressure, pulse, beat, and respiration. Asya ini, ang scientific pressure, ang red light detector kuno nagre-record ang pag-iiba-iba ang aton blood pressure, ang aton pulso, ang aton paghinga. Asya ito ang function ng red light detector. Next, let's move on to galvanograph. So, what is galvanograph? Asya din definition ng galvanograph. Galvanograph, a copper plate engraving produced by galvanography, also a picture printed from a such plate. So, nasa rin din ang galvanograph ko is a picture printed from a such plate. Kumbaga, ginprint niya tikang usang plate or gin-engrave niya. Under galvanography, may tinatawag na sticker. Sticker works on the galvanograph component and study the influence of the sweat glands to skin resistance. Next, Vera good. So, asya ni naton tigamnan. So, nasing diday, Vera good. Vera good formulated the term psychogalvanic skin reflex following the study of sticker. Next, Richard O. Arthur. This person who developed a polygraph machine with two galvanic skin resistance. Next is the pneumograph. Ano ba ang pneumograph? Nasirang didi. Pneumograph is an instrument that records the movements or volume change of the lungs. Ang pneumograph pa siya kunin yan instrumento na nagre-recordan movements sa aton lungs. The record is produced either by electric monitoring of the rate and extent of respiratory movements or by X-ray imaging of the lungs after they have been injected with a gas to improve the visual contrast between tissues areas. So, asya ko na to ang pneumograph. Vittorio Binosi. Vittorio Binosi focused on the formulation of the inhalation and exhalation ratio. Kasi ito natin tigamnan, Vittorio Binosi kuno, nag-focus siya ang formulation of the inhalation and exhalation ratio. Next, Harold Burt. Harold Burt considered respiration as a weak basis in determining deception and incorporate the systolic blood pressure. Kaya kan didi, Harold Burt ko no, iya ko naging consider respiration as a weak basis. Kumbaga siya yung pinaka maluyang nga basihan in determining deception. Asya ito niya kan ni Harold Burt, rather. Next, chemograph. Chemograph is an instrument responsible for recording variation in pressure in sound waves or in blood within blood vessels by the trace of a stylus on a rotating cylinder. At siya ton, chemograph. Leonard D. Keeler. Leonard D. Keeler developed the chemograph machine and the Keeler's polygraph in the year 1926 as one of the great advancement to the development of polygraph machine. Leonard D. Keeler kuno ya ko na nag-develop han chemograph. Kasi ito naton tigamnan.
Other personalities. Jean E. Reid developed the Reid polygraph with an incorporation of muscular resistance compared to the Keelers and the Stolting. Also, he developed the SAT test and control question test. Francis Galton, he formulated the word association test. Clive Baxter formulated the numerical scoring on the polygraph chart and the standardizing quantitative polygraph technique. Sir James Mackenzie, a heart specialist who published in 2 British journals the machine he used in his work and named it ink polygraph. The statistical facts of the history of polygraph. Cesar Lombroso published the 2nd edition of L'Homme Criminal. It documents his use of a plethysmograph and sphygmomanometer during the interrogation of criminal suspect. So, ang plethysmograph, usa inihiya nga gingagamit pag-measure han changes aton volume in different parts of the body. The test may be done to check for blood clots in the arms ngan legs. It is also done to measure kung pira ka percentage ang kaya mahold han lungs nga hangin. So, sphygmomanometer, ini naman hiya nga instrument ginagamit for measuring han blood pressure. So, he also used the hydrosphygmograph for detecting deception. He is the first person to utilize an instrument for blood instrument for the purpose of detecting lie through blood pressure. So nadedetecthan hydrosphygmograph an pagbubuwa through blood pressure. Hydrosphygmograph, it is an absolute type of sphygmograph in which the pulse pressure was displayed through a column of water. It is also for detecting deception, as what I have said. So let's proceed to Vittorio Benozzi. He conducted experiment using the pneumograph for the detection of deception. His theory was that the length of expiration, the ration would be greater before truth telling than afterwards, and greater after lying than before lying. He considered also the respiration changes as symptoms of deception. So pag sinabi nating deception, ito ay panlilin lang. So let's proceed to John A. Larson. He constructed the instrument capable of continuously recording all the phenomena such as blood pressure, pulse, and respiration. He also was the first man to use more than one recording to detect deception in 1921. So, hiyaan pinakauna nga gumamit han pag-record han usa nga pag-detect lot han deception gumamit lot han hininga blood pressure, pulse, and pulse naman didaan right an kuan kun king kukulba an usa nga tawo. So William Moulton Marston, he used the sphygmomanometer attached to blood pressure. He recorded the respiration noted through the time when the subject responds verbally. He also used galvanometer to record the skin resistance changes and a gripping device to record the tension. So iniliwat nga sphygmomanometer an ira liwat tanan ini nga mga tawo nga akong gi-mention an ira ginagamit para ma-detect and lie or an mga panlilin lang ni raha usa nga tawo an ira ginagamit nga kuan halawas an blood pressure talaga. Tapos ini naman ni William Moulton Marston an iya gingamit niya para ma-record ang skin resistance nga ma-record niya ang tension han usa nga tawo para ma-detect ang deception.
Leonard D. Keeler constructed a more satisfactory instrument than the one used by Larson. In the year 1926, the polygraph included, in addition to units for recording blood pressure, pulse, and galvanic skin reflex, or electrodermal response known as GSR. Keeler also known to be credited with introducing the card test used for control purposes. Leonard D. Keeler was a keen assistant to Larson, who had developed a multitasking polygraph and then became the most prominent polygraph examiner of all times, and who's then therefore considered the father of modern polygraph. Dahil sa mas na-develop niya ang mga inbensyon ni Larson kagaya ng metal bellows or tambor, which allows to better record changes in blood pressure, pulse, and respiration patterns. Chemograph, which allowed chart paper to be pulled under the recording pens at a constant speed. Psychogalvanometer, a device for measuring changes in a person's skin resistance. Keeler kept on improving polygraph and mas nakilala siya sa maraming contributions to polygraph examination technique. Until 1983, nakatanggap siya ng patent or kapangalanan sa kanya na naimbento niya na siyang naging most widely used worldwide. Reed. The present authors had then devised an instrument as Reed polygraph. In the year 1945, he introduced a completely revised polygraph technique, the most significant feature of which was the utilization of control question known as the Reed control question technique. The reed technique is a method of interrogation. The system was developed in the United States by John E. Reed in 1950s. Reed was a psychologist, polygraph expert, and former Chicago police officer. The technique is known for creating a high-pressure environment for the interviewee, followed by sympathy and offers of understanding and help, but only if a confession is forthcoming. Since its spreading in the 1960s, it has been a mainstay of police procedure, especially in the United States. The polygraph was first introduced to the Philippines in 1945 by the Crime Laboratory of the Military Police. The Crime Laboratory sent several people including Mr. Jose Navarro and Conrado Dumlao to the U.S. for polygraph training. In 1950, the National Bureau Investigation sent Mr. Agustin to train at the Killer Polygraph Institute. Lawyer Manuel Serora also trained there after he succeeded. Mr. Patricio, as chief of the Polygraph Division of the NBI Crime Lab, personnel trained in polygraph were Ernesto Lucena, Mistici Logan, and Artemio Panganiban Jr. Polygraph is a modern lie detector technique. Today, most people know it by the name lie detector test, but the instrument is officially named as the polygraph machine. Poly means multiples or many, and graph means right. When a person takes a polygraph test, 4 to 6 sensors are attached to him. A polygraph is a machine in which the multiple or poly signals from the sensors are recorded on a single strip of moving paper or graph.